Ladies and gentlemen, let's go to this. Please hit the like button, share the live. Alright. Some NWC system test positive for E. coli, but no need to boil water.
What can go so? What can go so? What can go so?
Stop the cap. Stop the cap right now. Stop the cap. No bullshit, bro.
What did you say?
Hey, bro, come on now, dog. Come on, man.
What? Bro, what are you talking about, man?
Stop lying. Stop lying. Stop lying. Stop.
Emotional damage.
People, me, no know what them people are talking about. E. coli. Let me play this. Let's go back a little bit. Remember this?
Junior spokesman on health and wellness, Jesse James, is defending his position regarding allegations of elevated levels of sewage contaminants in water supplied to households in Kingston and St Andrew. Both the Health Ministry and the National Water Commission, the NWC, shut down his claims on Friday. Well, Clarke says he's shocked by their response. Nika Lewis has our update.
Shocked. Chairman of the KSAMC's Health and Sanitation Committee, the PNP's Jesse James Clarke, says the recent rebuttal to his claims that some residents in Kingston and St Andrew could be drinking contaminated water by the National Water Commission was a surprise.
Well, I'm surprised that the NWC were bold enough to come out and say that, because the results that I spoke about, they are the NWC's results. They're not my results. I didn't make them up. They're from the National Water Commission. So it's their own results that is showing that they're having issues with their rural water treatment plants. And we visited a couple of them, but there are others that they are also having issues with based on the poor quality water that is being produced in these areas. Now, this is a problem because water from these areas can end up anywhere. There are persons who sometimes collect water in these areas and then sell them in other areas. And the persons who live near to these distribution plants, they're also consuming this water.
He's challenging the authorities to make public the results for the last 3 months and prove him wrong.
Since it's not their results and I'm making things up, I'm challenging them to release their results for Zone 1 and Zone 2 over the last 3 months. And I'm also challenging the persons from the Ministry of Health and NWC to also drink some of the water publicly that is coming from some of these rural water treatment sites.
However, he maintains the proper thing to have done would be to inform the public of any challenges the sites are faced with and advising customers to take special measures when using the commodity.
And it's unfair for persons, the citizens of Kingston and St Andrew, to be consuming water that is below quality without any type of warning from NWC. I believe the responsible thing for the NWC to have done would have been to come out and to say, yes, we're having some issues, but we're working to fix the problem, and give an advice for persons to boil their water or to filter the water too as well, to reduce the risk of persons getting infected with different germs that might be present in the water. That would be the responsible thing to do. And we still have not heard anything from the Minister coming out to say anything, both the Minister of Health and also the Minister of Responsibility for Water.
Nika Lewis, CVM News.
So, that's the evidence of them denying it. This was the response of the People's National Party, this conference that they had. Let's read.
But to demand answers for the sake of every Jamaican who deserves proper health care and clean, safe water. After all, we are the land of wood and water. Over to you, Jesse James Clarke, to speak to them about the water quality.
Good morning, everyone. My name is Jesse James Clarke, and I'm a junior shadow spokesperson for Health and Wellness. I'm also the chair for the Public Health and Sanitation Committee for Kingston and St Andrew. No concerns were raised to us in our committee meetings about the quality of water in sections of Kingston and St Andrew. And that is what prompted us to do a tour of several water treatment facilities in both in the corporate area and in the rural and some of the rural water treatment sites. We have seen results that are quite alarming, and we brought it to the public because we felt that not much was being done to make the public aware of the risk that they were being exposed to. After I brought these results to the public, I was accused of bringing false information and telling lies. However, I just want to highlight the results that we have here today that are projected on your screen. And I want to point to you first, look at this graph. What the bar chart, what is it showing? It's showing what the levels of coliforms should be. And just for everyone, coliforms, these are organisms, bacteria, aka germs, that are found in feces and also found in soil. And they're indication of the quality of our water supply. Now, the red line going across the bar charts running from your left to right, this is what the standard should be. So you should not have any of the coliform limits going above this 5% that you see that red line is connected to. However, if you realize for Kingston and St. Andrew, they are right at 5, and the yellow bars indicate distribution. So that means after the water have left the plant in your pipes, that's what it is. And this is suggesting in this case that there's something happening along the line after the water has been treated, because before it's okay. However, when you look at what is happening in our rural water treatment sites, it's very clear, as you can see from the graph, and this is NWC's results, by the way, that you have at source, which is that blue bar, it's almost 5 times the allowable limit. So you have 5 times the amount of germs that should be in the water presently, and these are coliforms, which means that you have very bad water quality after the water was treated. Because at source, this is at the plant when they have brought the water through their treatment process and tested it to see if the treatment process had worked. And you see that it's way above the allowable limit. And knowing this, the water was still distributed, and you have in distribution where it's almost 3 times the allowable limit, where it's at 17 in the yellow bar for the rural communities. Now, this is not just a one-off situation for the month of February. For the rural areas especially, this has been consistent. And we understand why you'll have this consistent bad result or poor water quality coming out in the rural areas after our visit. The water treatment, we're not saying that you'll be able to do all the steps that you do at your major water treatment facilities, like a Constant Spring. But even in rural areas, you still have to take some measures to ensure that the water is safe for consumption. So, for example, at your regular water treatment site, the water goes through several processes. For example, it goes through flocculation, which is where they add chemicals to bind with those fine particles that might be in the water, so that they can become heavier and settle out. You have sedimentation, which is where the heavier dirt particles settle and the water is basically clarifying the water to make it clear. And then that sedimentation the clear water is removed. It is filtered, and it passes through several different filters, whether it's sand of different size filters to ensure that they remove any residual viruses, organisms that might be left back in the water. And then it moves from there to disinfection, where you have your chlorination taking place. However, in the rural areas, we're not saying that you have to do all these steps. However, filtration is a must. And this is one of the infrastructure upgrades that has to take place at our rural water treatment sites to ensure that the water is safe. Also, we're recommending that they install temporarily, they can use black tanks, or what we Jamaicans call black tanks, or water tanks, and temporarily to have holding areas for the water in the rural areas so that it has enough contact time with the chlorine before it's distributed. You cannot be getting results that shows that you are having poor water quality at source and you're still distributing it to the public. Another major concern for us is how the Ministry of Health came out and said that the environmental division in the Ministry of Health, they came out and said that the water was safe for consumption in Kingston and St. Andrew, but at the same time, the NWC is producing results to show that it is not safe. So I'm now saying to the Ministry of Health that you need to get your house in order, and we need some accountability as to why you were saying that the water is safe when NWC is saying that the water isn't. NWC has also since then admitted that they're having challenges in the rural areas, and they have also admitted 6 days ago on their Instagram page that they have found samples positive for fecal coliforms. And they said that when they have instances of that happening, they will flush the line and they'll cut off water supply. And I'm asking the persons in the rural Jamaica if that happened. And we want them to now come and apologize for their misleading information that they have been given to the public and for trickling out the truth bit by bit. I'm also asking the journalists present here with us today for you to do your own fact-finding mission and get the results from the NWC. But not only get the results, I want you to visit these rural water treatment sites and let them show you the process of treatment that the water goes through, and you tell me if it's up to standard. Or the minister with the responsibility for water, and also the Minister of Health needs to come out and ensure that we are getting the steps are in place to ensure that we get good quality water in Kingston and St. Andrew. Also, we'd also want to make the recommendation to the National Water Commission, similar to how we get the results from Petrojam about the pricing of fuel each week. We'd want them to publish their results, and if they're having issues in any particular area, they need to let the residents know the areas that will be affected by the poor quality water and what has been done to correct those measures, and when it is safe again for the residents in these areas to consume the water that is being released. We have no issues with the staff at the National Water Commission, because after my visit and tour as well, I understand you have a very difficult job and that you're given basket to carry water most times. So I'm also advocating for the staff at the NWC to receive the necessary gears, compensation, and resources to ensure that they can get to these remote sites and collect the samples, and to also upgrade these sites so that they can do their job properly. They cannot do what they don't have the resources to do. So the minister and the Ministry of Health needs to be the one that is overseeing the NWC and protecting us, the consumers, and to ensure that they stick to the standards that are there for them to be for the water that is being produced by NWC. So once again, I just want to point out the inconsistencies between the results coming from NWC and the results coming from the Ministry of Health, the environmental unit, and they need to answer to the public and to Jamaica at large for that. And we need the NWC to come out, and anywhere else on the island, don't wait on us, or don't wait on us to come out and to say it. You come out and tell us all the other areas on the island that you're having water quality issues and what is being done to address it. In this case, we understand you have to do some infrastructure upgrade, or the results from your rural water treatment sites, they will not improve, and filtration is a big step. Thank you very much.
So, that was a comprehensive, quick clip of Jesse James Clarke laying down the law about the fecal coliform found in the water. Fast forward to a day ago, here we go with what the NWC is now saying. This is some crazy stuff. Listen to this.
Hello, I'm Jovan Johnson. The Health Ministry Tuesday said some water samples from systems operated by the National Water Commission have tested positive for the bacteria E. coli, but says there is currently no cause for alarm. The ministry says it has not been deemed necessary to ask residents to boil water before use. The update follows recent concerns raised by the opposition People's National Party. Victims of the alleged multi-billion-dollar fraud at Stocks and Securities Limited SSL have been promised a partial payout starting next month. Trustee Cadian Campbell says affected persons must submit proof of claims by April 30. Sprint icon Usain Bolt's company Wellgen is among the clients. Police forensic investigator Detective Constable Ricardo Evans testified Tuesday that the floor of the cell where Mario Dean was beaten on August 3, 2014 was wet when he arrived there to carry out his investigation. Hello, I'm Jovan Johnson. The Health Ministry Tuesday said some water samples from systems operated by the National Water Commission have tested positive for the bacteria E. coli, but says there is currently no cause for alarm.
All right, ladies and gentlemen, let's examine that from NWC. And I'm going to go to the article. Shout out to my people over by Bolo, you know, all of my day ones. She says she got grandbabies, y'all. She says she got grandbabies. That's crazy, man. Man, these older ladies be taking care of themselves, boy. I'm trying to tell you. Woo! Yes, sir. How is it that I'm not subscribed to my own shit? That's crazy. Anyway. Alright. Shout out to Antoinette Feathers. Them wicked, very wicked. I know, right? Jillian Marie, Renice, Walking in Divine Purpose. How are you? Guys, I want y'all to go over and support Walking in Divine Purpose. Can somebody drop her link in the chat? You know what I'm saying? Y'all need to go over there and go check her out. Alright? She really about that. Walking in Divine Purpose. Roslyn Swaby, what's up? Splash Digi, can you drop a link? Class Prefect, one of y'all. Y'all going crazy. Alright, so yeah, I gotta do something real quick. Facebook. Oh, this part. Yeah, let's listen to this and then I'm gonna go to the article. Y'all remember this? Oh shit, it's muted?
Similar to how we get the result. Also, we'd also want to make the recommendation to the National Water Commission. Similar to how we get the results from Petrodrop about the pricing of fuel each week, we'd want them to publish their results. And if they're having issues in any particular area, they need to let the residents know the areas that will be affected by the poor quality water and what has been done to correct those matters, and when it is safe again for the residents in these areas to consume the water that is being released. We have no issues with the staff at the National Water Commission because after my visit and tour to as well, I understand you have a very difficult job and that you're given basket to carry water most times. So I'm also advocating for the staff at the NWC to receive the necessary gears, compensation, and resources to ensure that they can get to these remote sites and collect the samples and to also upgrade these sites so that they can do their job properly. they cannot do what they don't have the resources to do. So the minister and the Ministry of Health needs to be the one that is overseeing the NWC and protecting us, the consumers, and to ensure that they stick to the standards that are there for the water that is being produced by NWC. So once again, I just want to point out the inconsistencies between the results coming from NWC and the results coming from the Ministry of Health, the environmental unit, and they need to answer to the public and to Jamaica at large for that. And we need the NWC to come out, and anywhere else on the island, don't wait on us, or don't wait on us to come out and to say it. You come out and tell us all the other areas on the island that you're having water quality issues and what is being done to address it. In this case, we understand you have to do some infrastructure upgrade, or the results from your rural water treatment sites, they will not improve, and filtration is a big step.
Oh God, so Pete,
we'd also want.
And this one time I had a random blessing to fall.
Alright, good people. So let me go through this article real quick. It says the Ministry of Health and Wellness is reporting some water samples from systems operated by the National Water Commission have tested positive for bacteria E. coli, but says there is currently no cause for alarm. The ministry says it has not been deemed necessary to ask residents to boil water before use. It explains that occurrences such as these are not unusual, particularly during drought conditions, following pipe breakages, heavy rainfall, and other environmental contamination events. In such instances, the ministry, through its established protocols, initiates an investigation and determines the cause and assesses the extent of contamination and guide the necessary corrective actions. Now, this is my thing, right? In that assessment, in that investigation, what does it hurt to say to the people of Jamaica, listen, there's a potential breach. You guys, in these times, just to be on the safe side, boil your water. What is wrong with that? I don't know. I don't think anything is wrong with that. This process is carried out in partnership with NWC Municipal Corporation and other water providers. It is important to clarify that a boil water advisory is a public health precaution issued solely by the Medical Office of Health. So basically, they're saying that Jesse James Clarke and a medical doctor in Dr. Alfred Dawes is not qualified or has the authority to recommend to people to boil their water. We have to wait on them. What if we don't trust them? What if we want to use our own noggin? Shout out to Miss Genesis one. What if we want to use our own brain and say, you know what? Fecal coliform, I'm not taking no chances. Hey, baby, get the pot. Get the pot. Get the big pot. We're going to boil some water. We're going to find out how to boil the water to get the water as clean as possible. What is wrong with that? Huh? I don't think anything is wrong with that. He says, he said blah, 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 blah. Medical officer, yeah. The authority responsible for safeguarding public health within each parish. This advisory is issued when there is an imminent risk of waterborne disease and typically applies to a specific geographic area affected by compromised water supply systems. Boil water advisory are localized, and not parish-wide, except in case of major natural disasters such as hurricanes, floods, and earthquakes that significantly impact water quality. The Health Ministry says it continues to monitor the situation closely and remains committed to ensuring the safety, right, and well-being of our citizens. Listen, for me personally, I don't know about nobody else, but the NWC, y'all lost my confidence. I'll tell y'all that right now. You have utterly lost my confidence.
The ministry
I don't
says
know
it has
about
not been
nobody.
deemed
Lord have mercy,
necessary
once
to
again.
ask residents.
I don't know about nobody else, but y'all have lost. I have no confidence personally in the NWC. Yeah, I mean, this is ridiculous. Walking, Mr. PR, exactly. Class prefect. So did anybody drop? Did anybody drop? Walking in divine purpose. All right, hold on. Let me just give her. I'm telling you, to what is next? Drop your link. Walking in divine purpose. Drop your link. Drop your link right there. I don't know if anybody wants to call in, but this is the time. Let me know what y'all think in the comment section. All right.